In today's episode of Two Tall Guys Talking Sales, Sean O'Shaughnessy and Kevin Lawson dive deep into the true foundation of sales success, trust. You'll discover why the most effective sales strategies aren't about persuasion or pressure, but about building credibility and becoming a trusted advisor your clients can rely on. Sean and Kevin reveal how trust fuels revenue generation and share a simple, actionable step, posting consistently on LinkedIn, to position yourself as an expert before the first call. Stay tuned to learn how mastering trust can transform every conversation, every relationship, and every deal you close.
So you're walking down the dark alley after you went out to the bar with some buddies, and you walk up, you see somebody walking towards you. It's dark. You can't really tell who they are. What's your first thought? Is that somebody that you trust? Is that somebody that you would like just say hi to? Because you don't know who they are. You can't really see them. You don't know what's going on. Would you trust them? Probably not, right? Your first thought is like, who is that? Maybe I should walk to the other side of the alley, whatever. And then you walk a little bit farther and you realize it's your mother. Would you trust your mother? Of course you would. So we trust the people that we know, and we don't trust by almost default people we don't know, people we have never met, people we don't have any familiarity to. However, those people that we have learned to trust over time, we've learned to trust their opinions, we ask for their opinions, we seek those opinions out. And so the key to sales is not to convince the other person to buy your product. But the key to sales is to have the other person trust you when you're selling a product that you've never sold to them. And you made a cold call to them. And now they're talking to you. They don't trust you. They don't know who you are. They answered the phone. Shame on them for answering the phone. But they did. But they don't trust you yet. And the first thing you say out of your mouth is, I would like to make an appointment with you to talk to you about how I can solve your problems doing this. Guess what? You didn't do the job of conveying very much trust. All you did was scare them off. You became the hoodie in the alley, in the dark alley that just you can't trust. The way to engender trust is to say, I'm your friend, and try to convince them that I'm your friend. You need to at least convince them that you are friendly to them. And so the challenge in sales is not to convey that more about your product and that you can talk faster than the other guy. The challenge in sales is to convey trust. So Kevin, I trust your opinion a lot on this subject. You're a trustworthy person because I've known you quite some time now. What do you have to think about this whole concept of transferring trust and conveying trust?
The fun thing about trust for me is it's your reputation. Now, anybody's listened to this podcast for a while, you probably recollect that I have kids. They're teenagers, so we talk about trust and legacy a lot because trust in your name is really all you have. So if you'd said Kevin Lawson is untrustworthy, anyone listening to this podcast or that you might meet in the future that has heard a rumor of this would already have a question about my trustability. So trust is easy to lose. That's why I think it's so important for us as salespeople, as people teaching salespeople and sales leaders, to focus on how important that is. It's a muscle we have to develop, and it's a muscle we have to refine and feed and take care of and nurture, because trust is so consequential if you don't have it. It's so reliable when you do. It's the bedrock which all great salespeople and great brands trade upon. It allows us to do things like not force sales. And this is especially, I want to call it something that's really unique here. When you're selling a disruptive product, you can fall in the trap of trying too hard to sell. You want to convince somebody to try to buy. This still applies, what Sean and I are talking about, to that disruptive, because you have to teach from a place of help, meaning you're helping them, as opposed to force with a bat. You never win a friend beating him over the head with anything. That is not the way to win friends and influence people. Sean, I love the idea of trust as a currency. I love the idea of trust as a goal, right? It's not an endpoint. It's buoyancy. If you're in a boat, you're trusting it floats. The moment it doesn't float, it's the moment it sinks, right? It's there until it's not. So you have to constantly maintain the vessel that keeps the water out. It's the trust vessel. So we do that by following through on promises. We do that by being on time. I am shocked in this day and age with how many digital resources and alarms and gadgets and gizmos we have that people are just late. It's odd. And when you are late, that is a trust withdrawal, regardless of your age or generation. It is important to know that how you show up instills trust. Sean and I have this joke, and if you could see me right now, I'm having this business discussion with Sean, and I'm in short sleeves, which is weird. Sean and I are known for always dressing the part, right? Because we want to be perceived as showing value to the situations we're put in. Jackets, long sleeves, pressed pants, shine shoes. That's the way we present ourselves. Now, for some of you out there, that doesn't fly with you. We get that. But you can trust that's how we are going to show up. It's trust. You are trusting our experience. You're trusting in the experience we're going to try and deliver others. And you can also trust, and what's fun about our jobs is, I know Sean and I put ourselves forward as having a lot of experience, but hey, we make mistakes. So you can also trust that when we make them, we're going to own up to them. Now, I hate being wrong. I think I hate being wrong more than I like winning. But the idea here is that being able to trust in the other person you're working with or around, trusting their confidence, their conscience, their go-to-market, their plan, their integrity, their intent, all those things are what drives the non-commodity of trust as a value.
Great thoughts there, Kevin. And I'm going to build on all this as well. There's a goal that every salesperson should get to, and I'm going to talk about that. But there's also an avenue of increasing trust with your prospect quickly. The way that you increase trust with your prospect very quickly is to have someone else that they already trust introduce you. And this is the value of the reference sell. This is the value of your networking, that somebody introduces you to your customer. And by extension, the fact that Kevin writes an email to somebody and says, "Hey, Joe, you should meet Sean. He's a really good guy, and he's going to be able to help you with your problem." Immediately what happens is Kevin's trust in me is now transferred to Joe. The goal here, once again, is that I am going to have a higher level of trust with this new person who I've never met. And I'm going to get there because Kevin vouched for me and said something nice about me and said I would solve their problem. And that is the key essence of why we want to do networking. That's part of the reason why trust is so important, because you want to work with other trustworthy people. You want to network with other trustworthy people that will say good things about you, that will recommend you to prospects, because that trust that they have in that person that you're networking with will transfer and will get you there further. And eventually with that prospect, you want to be the ultimate salesperson, and that is the trusted advisor. You want to be in a situation with your customer that over time, they simply trust you. In fact, they trust you so much that they seek you out for ideas. They seek you out for consulting. They seek you out for, how do I solve this problem? And you help them, even if it's not your product, even if it's not your area of expertise, but you have some idea of how to solve that problem, or you know somebody that can help them. You are a trusted advisor to that customer. And that is the place where you really want to be. Now, once you're there, as Kevin said earlier, don't blow it, because trust can be fleeting. You can blow it. You can lie to the customer. That doesn't do the job. You can mislead them. You can make the answer up. You can be like ChatGPT and just invent a number and not even know that the number's right. But you're not ChatGPT. You're a person. you're a trusted advisor. And that's the goal that you want to get to. You don't get there right away. You don't get there overnight. You don't even get there in a week or a month. You get there by constantly showing up, constantly giving help, constantly giving good advice, constantly admitting when you're not quite sure if that your advice is good advice. And that allows your trust to grow. And eventually the customer will say, hey, Kevin, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? Kevin, how else can we have a salesperson build their trust up and be credible to a prospect? That makes sense, accelerates that trusting process.
When we get to this part of the conversation, my brain finds a different gear. Like I push in the clutch and I just go, because all this stuff is in my DNA of, I like to fix stuff, right? So when you get to a salesperson and what do you do before lunch tomorrow? I immediately say, okay, what are we going to talk about that we know? What are our core subjects? And in another part of my life, I talk about when passion meets purpose, great things can happen. So this is where salespeople can really do earth and stratospheric changes or meteoric changes to their career trajectory, to their company's impact, to their client's impact. This is the moment when you are in your highest and best use, building trust, where simply wonderful things happen. This is where you get noticed in your industry as a market maker, a maven. You get all these kind of superlative kind of words because there's something about the way you've built trust that gets you to this next echelon. Sean, you and I spend a lot of calories talking about how do we become domain experts? And you and I talk about this a lot offline as well. We write a lot. We market ourselves a lot. Now, we don't market ourselves as graphic designers because we're not graphic designers. We're not in marketing. We're not website builders. That's not the type of selling we're talking about. We're talking about systems and processes. So we try and stick to our guns by building infrastructures and leading people. My passion and your passion are even slightly different. This is why we have such a complementary skill set and style, because we like to do different things and we do them well. So what a salesperson can do is think about the areas where you excel the most and have the most passion about excelling. Write about that. Create content around it. Be the subject matter expert that when your ideal customer is ready to buy, when, that's a when, not if, that's a when they're ready to buy, you show up. Sean, you put a great article out last year about being a player versus coach. And coaches never get to score points. Coaches never show up in the box scores with how many points in the first, second, third, or fourth quarter because we're not supposed to be in the game as coaches. As salespeople, you are in the game. So if you want to be in the game ready to close a deal when the deal is ready to be closed, when the basket goes up, you want to be ready for the rebound and put it back up, all the sports analogies you could imagine, this is that moment. Be intentional about where you show up as a domain expert, whether it's publishing on LinkedIn, a blog, going to do a speaking engagement at a trade show, or your local chamber of commerce. Your market may be geographic as opposed to verticalized. Go be present, be intentional with the words you use, have a plan when you show up. If you are that local, the local hero kind of approach, make sure everything you ever put on your body has a logo on it. Be logoed so people recognize you by the jersey you wear. So I say that with the utmost respect for anybody selling who's trying to become noticed, because right now the world is pretty full of people who are also trying to get noticed. So you have to do the simple things, do them in a way that gets you noticed positively, and then follow through on that commercial commitment.
Great advice there. And I'm going to just build on that one last thing because we only have a few more seconds to do. So when I talk to a salesperson and I look at their LinkedIn profile and I see that they haven't done a post on LinkedIn in 3 months, and that post was a repost of somebody else, that doesn't engender trust. That salesperson knows anything about their industry. So on a regular basis, a salesperson that wants to say, you can trust that I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about my product, about my service, about the problem that my product or service solves, then you would think that on a weekly basis, at least every 2 weeks, that salesperson would put something out on LinkedIn and just talk about it. Talk about what they do. Talk about what their company does. Talk about the challenges in their industry. It's not to get leads. You're not going to get a social media lead off of LinkedIn, but that's okay. Because when I meet you, when somebody else meets you, they are likely to look at your LinkedIn profile. And they are likely to say, is this person talking about the problem that I'm trying to solve? And if you are, I guess I trust you a little bit more. So I trust that our time together this afternoon has been good and you've enjoyed this podcast. And in fact, our listeners are growing pretty fast. So if you do have a chance, if you could do us a big favor, just about whatever podcast player you use, you have the ability to give us a number of stars if you think this is a good episode. We would really appreciate it if you would give us a 5-star review on that episode, because we think it'd help us a little bit, and we hope that you'll help you eventually as well. Thank you very much. Happy selling.
I learned a lot from today's discussion, especially about the power of trust as the true currency of sales success. Remember, when you show up consistently, keep your promises and share your expertise, you're not just selling, you're building relationships that last. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales on your favorite podcast platform. And while you are at it, can you give Kevin and Sean a 5-star rating? If you ever need guidance with sales, sales management, or growing your business, reach out to Sean or Kevin. Their contact information is in the show notes. And don't forget to check out the B2B Sales Lab, a community of driven salespeople and leaders helping each other build trust, sharpen strategies, and accelerate revenue growth. You'll find the link in the show notes. Join us again next Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And until then, keep earning trust, keep creating value, and as always, happy selling!